All the animals remembered passing such resolutions, or at least they thought they had remembered it. The 4 young pigs who had protested when Napoleon abolished the meetings raised their voices timidly, but they were promptly silenced by the tremendous growling from the dogs. Then, as usual, the sheep broke into the 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, and the momentary awkwardness moved over. Finally, Napoleon raised his trotter for silence and announced that he would make all the arrangements. There would be no need for any animals to come in contact with the human beings, which would clearly most undesirable. He intended to take the whole burden upon his own shoulders. A Mr. Wimber, a solicitor living in, who agreed to act as an intermediary between Animal Farm and the outside world, and would visit the farm every Monday morning to receive his instructions. Napoleon ended his speech with his usual cry, "Long live Animal Farm!" And after singing the Beast of England, the animals were dismissed. Afterwards, Squealing made a round the farm to set the animals' minds to rest. He assured them that the resolution against engaging in trade using might had never been passed, or even suggested. It was pure imagination.
Man, Squealer's like a rock sheet. He represented propaganda.
Probably traceable in the beginning lies circulated by Snowball. A few animals still felt faintly doubtful, but Squealer asked them truly, "Are you sure that is not something you've dreamed, comrades? Have you the record of the resolution? Is it written down anywhere? Since it certainly must be true that nothing of that kind existed in writing, the animals were satisfied that they had been mistaken."
Liar. Yeah. Napoleon represented Stalin. I'm put in the form of man. And Squealer represented propaganda when I heard why he saw the young girl's notes.
Every Monday, Mr. Winthrop visited the farm that had been arranged. He was a sly-looking little man with side whiskers, a solicitor in a very small way of business, but sharp enough to realize earlier than anyone else that Animal Farm would need a broker and that commissions would be worth having. The animals watched his coming and going, kind of dread, avoiding him as much as possible. Nonetheless, the sight of Napoleon on all fours delivering the orders to Wimber, which stood on 2 legs, roused their pride, and partly reconsidered them with this new arrangement. Relations with the human race were not quite as same as they had been before. The human beings did not hate Animal Farm any less now than it was prospering. Indeed, they hated it more than ever. Every human being held an article of faith that the farm would go bankrupt sooner or later. Above all, that the mill would be a failure. They would meet in the public houses to prove one another by means of dragons the winner was bound to fall. Or, if it did stand up, that it will never work. And yet, against their will, they developed a certain respect for the efficiency which the animals were managing their own affairs. One symptom of this, that they had begun to call Animal Farm by its proper name, and ceased to pretend that it was called Manor Farm. They had also dropped their championship of Jones, who had given up hope of getting his farm back. He had gone to live in another part of the country. century. Except for whimper, there was yet no contact between Animal Farm and the outside world. But there were constant rumors that Napoleon was about to enter in a definite business agreement with either Mr. Pilkington of Boxwood or Mr. Frederick of Pinchfield. But it was never noticed. Both were simultaneous. At about this time, that the pigs suddenly moved into the farmhouse and took up residence there. Again, the animals seemed to remember that a resolution had passed in the early days, but Squealer was able to convince them that this was not the case. It was absolutely necessary, he said, that the pigs who were the brains of the farm should have a quiet place to work in. It was more suited for the dignity of their leader, for the late he had taken the speaking of Napoleon under the title leader to live in the house than in a mere sty. Nevertheless, some of the animals were disturbed when they had heard the pigs not only took their meals in the kitchen and used the drawing rooms of the recreation, but also slept in the bed. Boxer passed it off as usual. Napoleon was always right, but Clover, who thought she remembered a different moving against beds, went to the end of the barn, to try to puzzle out the 7 commandments, which were inscribed there. Finding herself unable to read more than individual letters, she fetched Muriel. Muriel, she said, "Give me the 4th commandment. Does it say something about never sleeping in a bed?" With some difficulty, Molly followed. "It said, no animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets." She announced finally. Curious enough, Clover had not remembered the 4th commandment mentioned sheets, but it was on the wall in the What? But wasn't the 4th commandment originally no animal shall sleep in a bed?
It was.
And Squealer, who happened to be passing by at this moment, attended by 2 or 3 dogs, was able to put a whole map of it in its proper perspective. "You have heard, comrades, that the pigs now sleep in the beds of the farmhouse. And why not? You did not suppose it surely meant ruling against beds. A bed is merely means a place to sleep in. A pile of straw in the stall is a bed, properly regarded. The rule against sheets, which is a human invention. We have removed the sheets from the farmhouse beds, sleep between the blankets, and our very comfortable beds are too, but not more comfortable than we need. I can tell you, comrades, all the brain work we have to do nowadays. You would not rob us of our repose, would you, comrades? You would not have us too tired to carry out our duties. Surely none of you wishes to see Jones come back."